Hello and welcome back, everyone. I'm going to be doing a voiceover here at the beginning because my mics, I think the batteries went dead, and it didn't record any sound, which is weird. But anyway, so as you can see, we have the carb off again. After last video, when I took it for a ride, there was some popping and poor acceleration. So with the bowl off, the first thing you really want to kind of do is check the float height, just to make sure that that's still within the spec. And on these Mikuni carburetors here, these VM34s, you do that by having the carburetor kind of sideways. So those little tabs, the floats are in the bowls, which is weird. So you just want to measure those tabs against where the gasket would sit. And I believe on these it's 22 to 24 millimeters. So I took a pair of calipers and I measured that, and both carburetors were okay. So that's fine. I could move on. So when tuning the carburetors, you can kind of figure it as low speed, wide open throttle, and mid-range. You can break it down into those three things. And the first thing you want to do is you want to do your low speed or your pilot jet. Okay, so figure it this way. Your low speed is an orifice. It's a set orifice. You set it by changing the jet. Nothing else affects it, your idle. Just the pilot jet. So if you set your pilot jet at a 25, that's it. That pilot jet is used throughout the whole range of throttle on that carburetor. So the next thing you want to do after you've figured out what your pilot jet is, and in this example we're going to use 25, then your main jet. You want to go to your main jet for wide open throttle next. So you take the bike out and you find out where it's happiest at wide open throttle. There's things you can do like called a plug chop, where you put brand new plugs into wide open throttle, shut the key off while you've got, or kill switch while you've got wide open throttle, pull the clutch in, pull the plugs, and check what color they are. If they're white, it's lean. If they're black, it's rich. If they're kind of a caramely color, then you're fine. You can also kind of tell by feel sometimes how it is. So let's say you put a 175 jet in there, and you didn't do the pilot jet. Let's just say you just went right to wide open throttle, and you did the pilot jet, and you did the main jet at a 175, and it runs terrific at wide open throttle. But then your idle wasn't so good, and you decided, all right, well, I'm going to mess with the pilot jet. Well, you've already got a 25 pilot jet and a 175 main jet, so that gives you a 200. And this is not fuel ratio. This is not how much it flows. This is just the size of the jets. So now if you go back and change your pilot jet to, say, a 35, your wide open throttle is now 35 plus 75. So now it throws off your wide open throttle, which is why you want to do your pilot jet first. Then you want to do your main jet, so you'll have wide open throttle. And then lastly, you want to do your needle adjustment or needle jet, because the other two will affect it. The needle pulls out of the main jet. So if the main jet isn't set and you set the mid-range with that needle pulling out of the main jet, and then you go and change the main jet, you're also changing how much fuel is in the mid-range. Same with the pilot jet. If you change that again, you're also changing the mid-range. So that's why it's important. Pilot jet, main jet, then the needle. So in this one, I had a number 30 pilot jet. And it was kind of rich. One way that you can tell it's kind of rich is that your air-fuel mixture screw should be somewhere around 1.5 turns out. Let's say a half turn out to maybe 2.5 turns out. And in that range, when you go to set the fuel mixture, if you go in too far or out too far, that means your jet has to change. So if you screw your jet all the way in and it's still not running right, that means you're probably on this bike, lean is out, rich is in. On this bike, that would mean you probably need a leaner jet, and the same opposite is the other way. If you keep going out and out and out, you probably need a leaner jet, a richer jet. So on this one, I'm swapping over the 30 to a 25. And that should hopefully get it in the right range. The XS1 has these same carburetors, and that is a 25. And that's the way I set that. So we'll change that jet out and then move on. Then we'll check the wide open. Now, the pilot jet on these carbs is you have to take the carburetor off to get to it. Once you've got that set, the main jet you can do with the carburetor on. There's a plug at the bottom of the bowl that you can remove, and you can actually get up there and get to the main jet. And the needle settings, you can do that on the carb with the carb on the bike too. You just remove the top of it and change that setting on the clip position on the needle. Also, while I have them off, I'm going to make sure that the slides are set identical again to each other. And when I put the carbs back on, I'm also going to make sure that the throttle cables are synchronized so that both carbs start to open up at the same time. I do that every time I have the carbs off, just because maybe I routed them a little different or something. So I'm going to start, after doing the pilot jets, by turning the air-fuel mixtures out about 1.5 turns and start from there and see how it goes. All right, so let's get these carbs back on the bike with the new pilot jets in them, and we can see how that goes. I also got the new neutral light switch. One's metal, one's plastic. The new one's plastic. But as long as it doesn't leak, we should be good. And the new switch has a screw in the top. And that's how you connect the wire to it. So the old one, you had the little push thing there. Now I'm going to run a new wire. And I'm going to crimp and solder an eyelet onto that. And put that in the bike, and I'll have to put a connector on it to connect to the original harness. So with the wire on, and I put a piece of heat shrink over it because the original wire was blue with black over it. I have the connector here, and I just have the wire connected. I buy extra connectors, even if it's just for that one wire, because I don't like hacking into the harness. And as you can see, I turned the light on and the neutral light comes on. We'll just throw it in gear here and the light goes out. So that works. Back to the carbs. Now that we've got both carburetors set equally And back on the bike again. We have these boots raised up for our throttle. And we are going to set them so they open both equally at the same time. And take up some of that slack that's in this cable, which I had, but I don't know if it's stretched. Maybe they just weren't seated right. Anyway, we'll do that next. Okay, I do believe I have the slack taken up out of this cable. Just some, because you don't want it super tight. You don't want it lifting. And I do believe I have them both working equally. So they should be synced together. Now I have to put fuel lines on it. I got a different fuel line. Supposed to be kink proof, because the last stuff I put on there, it kept kinking no matter how I put it. So this is kind of an ugly orange, but they were out of all the good colors. This was pretty much all they had left. So we'll put this on and give that a try, put the filters on, and we can put the tank back on, and I think we're ready to test it again. Wish me luck. Okay, tank's back on. New fuel lines. Got them turned on. Reserve. Give this thing a shot. See if we can tune it up any better. I think we got it this time. I gotta raise the needle to the last position so it can't go any further. Which means if I need to make any more adjustments, I need a new needle and needle jet. Popping, good acceleration. Main jet seems to be doing good. Wide open throttle. I think we got it.
idle's good. A little high. Yeah. I think that's it. I could try new needles and needle jets in there. See if it makes much of a difference, but it seems to run pretty good the way it is. We'll see how it starts cold. Next time I take it out, see how long it takes to warm up, stuff like that. But okay, good deal. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.